A day that will live in Mount Kayla, the James Kayla connectivity we have out here. We've got those who no doubt have an easier time of it than those who sometimes with a crazy hill over there starts south of Winchester. Again, I'm real close to Montpelier. My old daily art adventure. Uncle Sixten when he gets here. I haven't seen him yet. But taken there now. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. The tent and the edge of so as is usual today. So I'm typically. Let me turn you around again. So in other words, they're going to do their first dance here in the. Could be wrong about that. But I'm assuming that the beautiful mountains. Anyway, I hope I'm right. If not, I brought a blank canvas. So the stone wall foundation is going to be low. As you can see, there's going to be a rich Arnite stone wall, knee wall, and sometimes do the background, it supports them outdoor. All right. A bunch of giving me a painting. So here, and some of, for me, if a painting had pink, orange, red, words. Dang, I'm nearly finished the whole painting over. And then that orange and red. So hang on just a second. The thing I'm going to do after this, made in a fairly thin manner, so it's actually translucent white, not truly. I've misplaced my, oh here it is, my photo reference, my reference photo, here it is, just charging up that phone. So let me show you again, those of you who perhaps are just joining. It, of course, it doesn't have to be breako pot. You want some chop through the top. Ooh, it rhymes. So that proves that it's right. All right, so done with those glazes. Now, as I said, some opaque white going on. So give me just a minute. My monitor quit on me a few minutes ago, and I hope it's still running. All right, so there we go. A little fan brush. That'll be a good, fun touch. So everything on the canvas, as you see, is soaking wet. So everything I do right now is going to pick up the wet color, and that's perfectly fine as long as I don't rub a whole bunch, thereby creating an opaque pastel color on my brushes. What would be wrong with that? The word opaque is what's wrong with that. Opaque color is what would be wrong with that. And there's going to be a bride and groom in here somewhere. You know, I guess I'm feeling like they're over here. Yeah, I really am. I hate making that a decision that early in the process, but I really don't have much choice. I mean, I can change my mind, but that would be a mess. But because there's busyness over here, there's a tree and a tent here. I think it makes more sense to put them right there. Not at the 1/3, but about just a little left of center. And I don't know if it's bride and groom or groom and bride. I don't know that yet. So, all right. So I'm done with the white. And now it's time for the first pencil layer, which also is a lot of fun. I've said this before, bears repeating perhaps. If you can find an approach to painting that you enjoy, that's half the battle. If you can find a technique that you like. Some of you might be saying, well, what else would you do? Well, actually, let me tell you, I know some people who are stuck, if you will, career-wise and stylistically in a technique that they don't particularly like. Mostly because it's too painstaking, too slow, but they don't have any choice. It's like either by their own personality or by their, they've established a style in the market. So that would only apply to people who are trying to make money from their painting, of course. But anyway, if you can find, back to my original statement, if you can find a style that you like, and in particular, usually pronounced particular, in particular, if you can find a style that you like every step of the process, and that's what really got me saying this a minute ago. That indeed does describe me. I get a kick out of every step of the painting process, and I consider myself a lucky man. And someone, we can get ever so slightly philosophical here, not too much, but someone might say, well, what? That's crazy. Why don't you just pick a style that you like? What do you mean you're lucky if you have a style? Let me tell you my impression, at least, of the artist's journey and the issue of coming up with or determining or developing or landing on a style. That's a better way to put it, landing on. In my opinion, you don't make up a style. A style chooses you. You don't pick a style. And I think a lot of times college art departments are quite remiss in this regard. You don't actually pick a style. A style picks you, to be a little bit cute about it. If you pick a style, again, typical art major in college, it's a very sophomore season of life. Immaturity masquerading as false, fake maturity. Masquerading as maturity. Actually, I'm messing with the language here, but anyway, that's a pretty good description of all of college. Everybody's college experience, almost everybody. So I don't think you should pick a style. What you do is work your buns off, and a style develops. One time I was in a gallery, one of my more successful, good galleries that I was in for many years. And I was talking not to the gallery owner, but the previous gallery owner, who was a late 80s, a woman in her late 80s. She'd retired and her daughter had taken over. And I was looking at they had a very good eye. It was a good gallery. And I was looking at one of the other artists' work. And I said out loud, and the older woman, the retired gallery owner, was there. And I made a comment like, I can't remember exactly how I put it, but the inference was that this artist had stumbled on a lucky technique, if you will. I'm not sure I use the word luck, but yeah, I was speaking from what I know about being an artist. That a lot of it is what you happen to stumble on. And she took umbrage. She was rather offended by that. And said, no, he spent years developing this stuff. I knew that, but anyway. But the fact is, I was right and she was wrong. I know what it's like to be an artist, and I know that artist stumbled, just as I admit freely that I have stumbled on all of my techniques were serendipitous, happy. I mean, I made choices, of course. But the real good stuff, the crazy stuff, like for instance, the using a pencil, which is so unconventional, that was a serendipitous accident, as is almost every other aspect of my career. Now, I understand that I'm a creative artist. Not all artists are creative. Many artists learn their technique from a master and just do what their master told them to do. Fine. But for those of a more typical or authentic journey, I'll say that, is one in which we, the artists, actually are on a journey of discovery. And again, it comes in hard work. You just work your buns off. That's all you do. Just paint, or draw, whatever it is. Work hard. And in the course of all that working, things happen like, how about that? I actually just had an aha moment, an epiphany, just a couple days ago. Not while I was painting, but while I was thinking about my painting. Thereby proving that you actually can get better at art even when you're not doing the art. How about that? All right, I think, and by the way, I am recording this. Maybe I'll make a comment to that effect. Come on. Text right now, saying I am editing all this, and I may edit. I'm recording it, and I may edit it and post it later. Right, so I have to take another break while this dries because I can't do. I can do white on top color, but I can't do color on top of wet white. So I need that white to dry before I can do, which will be another glazes. One of the theories here gets just a tiny bit more detailed and realistic than the layer before. Tiny bit. That's where most of my students trip up, as they rush ahead, because it's hard not to want to do and to say more. You want to get cracking. You want to get doing some details and so on, and that's what I try to resist that temptation. Just do a little bit more detail with each layer. Another description that I use of my painting is that each phase, each layer of the painting process, and when I'm finished there'll be somewhere between 14 and 18 layers, I would say. Not every painting is exactly the same. But a good way to understand this approach to painting would be that each stage or phase of each phase of the painting process, isolated, would be quite abstract. And yet the cumulative effect of all the layers is quite representational. Does that make sense? So each layer taken alone would be quite abstract, but the sum total is they become fairly representational. Yeah. No, I would describe my work as quite representational. Yeah, there we go. The generous side of abstraction. Okay, now we'll try to get a little bit of green into this tree. If the tree's going to be backlit, everything in this painting is going to be backlit, which is quite a challenge in a way. Now I'm going to do another layer of white. That will be my second. And then I'll probably stop broadcasting, end this broadcast, because I won't be able to proceed very much more before I get a photograph of the bride and groom. So, but I can go ahead and paint right now. My second layer of white. And as I said, each layer slightly more accurate, detailed, or representational than the layer before. Again, the key word there is slightly. For those of you who perhaps have just joined me recently, let me show you the photograph, the view that I'm working on right there. Now, let me be clear. I'm painting things right now that are light. That's light with an L, not white with a W. I'm not focusing in the scene, in my subject matter. I'm not looking for objects that are white. That would be a mistake. I'm looking for things that are light. And again, this is sometimes a hard concept for my students to grasp. Everything that I'm doing white right now is going to receive several layers of glaze on top of it. Whoops, that's a mistake right there, sorry. I'm apologizing for you. That area is inside the roof of the tent, so it should not be light. So part of the point here is don't be confused by the whiteness. Again, sometimes I've experienced my students looking at me and scratching in the head at this stage, saying, "But it's not white. It's yellow, orange, green, blue, brown, whatever." I said, "No. We're not painting things that are white. We're painting anything that's light in value." And then there'll be glazes on top of it. And you could say to me, well, like if I know, for instance, at this area right in here, if I know it's going to be a sunset pink, why don't I just go ahead and do it pink? And of course I can, and sometimes I actually do shortcut some of those colors, but most of the time I don't. And the reason is quite simple, is because opaque colors are dead. Transparent colors sing, are alive. They're much more interesting. They're much more visually complex. So if I do, which way I want this, because I'm making up this cloud bank at the moment, I'm making it up completely. Okay. But you watch. It's very possible that the sky will end up like this at some point tonight. And I'll rush over there and take more pictures. So by putting down white and then doing a colored glaze on top of it, what I end up with then is a transparent color. Whereas if I were to do traditional painting, which would be mostly opaque colors, it's quicker, there's no question about that, it's faster, but you don't end up with the magic of transparency. And as you old-timers should know, that's very big on the magic of transparency. Now, I'm going to go ahead for the first time here. There are these little Edison lights hanging on wires across this paint. I'm going to go ahead and suggest those right now. These lights that I'm painting right now, hanging down, Edison lights, I think people call them, they will be painted and repainted and repainted with this 5 times before the done. I have here somewhere on my phone a close-up, of there's some barn roofs down here in the middle distance. And I think they're a nice element, so I'm going to be careful to capture those. Get a chance to paint some mountains tonight. That makes me happy. I love mountains. I love painting. I love being in them. And I love painting. These are mild mountains, of course. These are north central Virginia, as I said there. I think the Shenandoah Valley is to the left, about 50 miles or 40 miles to the left in this way there. All right, once again, I'm going to wait for that to dry. And honestly, now I'm going to